Burton Jr., who, of course, has been our expert commentator on the Professional Bowlers Tour for many years. Nelson is seeking his first title since 1980, and Dave Dials will be joined by Dick Weber this week to bring you all the action. Following bowling, be sure to join us for ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the Grand Prix of Monaco, considered to be the most exciting and glamorous Formula One championship in the world. Top international drivers compete on the narrow and challenging streets of Monaco in what is the ultimate test of driving skill and performance. Also, you see the World Invitational High Diving Championship from Orlando, Florida. The world's top divers compete and perform challenging dives at heights of 90 and 100 feet above the water. And we'll preview the Indianapolis 500 as the field is set for tomorrow's spectacular sporting event. And I'll be here throughout the day at ABC Sports Control in New York to keep you abreast of all the sports news as it develops. But for now, relax and enjoy the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour.
This is Memorial Day weekend of 1982, and this is old Tucson in Arizona, where all the tradition and the romance of the Old West have been preserved. Hi, everyone. This is Dave Dials, your regular host on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Chris Schenkel is on special assignment this weekend in Rome. We have for you this weekend the first time that ABC Sports has come to Arizona to do the Pro Bowlers Tour, and we have a Wild West shootout. In fifth place, the holder of 6 PBA titles, including the 1980 Tucson Open, from Indianapolis, Indiana, Mike Aulby. He'll face our number 4 qualifier, who really needs no introduction. The PBA's all-time leading money winner and title holder from Dublin, California, Earl Anthony. The winner of the opening match will face the bowler who qualified 3rd with 10 PBA victories, including this winter's Firestone Tournament of Champions from Chagrin Falls, Ohio, Mike Durbin. Our number 2 qualifier is seeking his first visit to the winner's circle from Vidor, Texas, David Ozio. And the tournament leader, the holder of 15 PBA titles and a member of the Hall of Fame, he's led every round of this tournament from St. Louis, Missouri, Nelson Burton Jr. Today, one of these men will take home $12,000. ABC Sports presents live from Tucson, Arizona, the $95,000 Tucson Open on the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by AC Delco, General Motors Corporation, over 50 years of quality automotive replacement components. By the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. And by Quaker State, new car or old, staying on the road with Quaker State. This is Dave Dials, and we're live for $95,000 at the Tucson Open in Tucson, Arizona, the Old West. And what a field. Match 1, the only 2 left-handers among the 5, Earl Anthony and Mike Aulby. And Mike Aulby from Indianapolis, Indiana, where cars and drivers are making big news this week. And he's trying to make news here in Tucson, Arizona. Sitting at the right hand of Chris Schenkel. He's being interviewed today, and Dick Weber's with him.
Well, thank you very much, Dave Dials. And Bo, since I've got the yellow jacket on today, and since you're in the pole position, Dave, this is Memorial Day weekend, what are you looking for in the matches here and on the lanes today?
Well, Dick, 50 and 16 play pretty even for the right-handers, so I'll just pick my best lane, which is 16 to finish on. As far as the lefties go, if one of the left-handers happens to hit one lane particularly well, I'll make him not finish on that lane, and whoever I bowl, they're going to have a tough match in the last game.
Well, thanks very much, Bo, and good luck to you. And back to you, Dave Dials.
Okay, as you saw, Mike Aulby opened with a strike. Earl Anthony leaves 3. And most unusual, Earl Anthony. Open frame, number 1. And quickly, he's 11 pins down. lot of people feel that Earl Anthony never changes his game, but he told me a few moments ago that he makes very subtle changes where he releases the ball. If you release it back, you can do a lot of things with it. If you release it further up, you can do less with it. See what he can do with number 2. Dick Weber with us today. Dick, I know the biggest thrill of your bowling year was watching ABC one Saturday afternoon when your son Pete.
Yes, it was just about a month ago or so, Dave, and of course I cried right along with him, and so did my wife Juanita.
Pete came through, age of 19, won his first PBA championship. Mike Aulby, no point in looking puzzled. That happens all the time. Apparently a perfect hit, and for some inexplicable reason, you leave either the 7 or the 10, and sometimes both of them.
Well, from that inside angle, he's going to leave a few of those weak 10s, Dave. And speaking of being 19, this young man, Mike Aulby, beat Earl Anthony for the PBA National Championship when he was 19. So it's a good age, evidently.
He's 22 now. Replay of the profile of young Mike Aulby. Dick?
And you'll notice Mike Aulby takes a 4-step delivery, getting that ball down fast in the first step. And look at the backswing. This shoulder level, bringing that left shoulder around so he can square up to the lane. Now, this is one of Mike's big problems, is not squaring around in time and keeping him from hitting the pocket quite a bit.
Dick, would it be true, as it would be in golf, that the further back you take the ball, the more margin you leave for error?
Yes, and that's why Earl Anthony has such a great game.
As he left the 7 before, he leaves the 10 this time. You're talking about Mike Aulby being from Indianapolis. Talked to him a moment ago, and I said, how would you like to be in Indianapolis today or tomorrow for the race? And he said, I'd rather be right here.
And there you see that solid 7, that 6-pin going right in front of the solid 10, rather.
Told me he has never seen the Indianapolis 500, but all of you will see it tomorrow right here on ABC. Same day coverage. A pleasant young man. Seems to have his game under control and his temper under control. He leads Earl Anthony by 10. What can you say about Earl Anthony after you say he's just almost perfect?
What hasn't he done, Dave?
3 times Bowler of the Year. Done it all. Bowler of the Decade. Won the PBA National 5 times. Nobody's ever done that, except Earl Anthony.
Earl is really not bowling his favorite angle. He's bowling a pretty deep inside angle between the 3rd and 4th arrow. And I was talking to him a little while ago, and he says when he gets in that far, he has a little tendency to really help the ball too much and maybe overturn. And it was very evident to that particular shot. He overturned the ball, making the ball really slide and not coming up to the pocket.
He was open, you'll recall, in the first. And everybody just wish you could be this good, Dick.
This is the perfect picture here. The picture tells it all. Low backswing, no higher than shoulder level, a little bit below. Good knee bend, and always that good follow through, good extension.
Where does he get the power from, Dick?
To me, he really doesn't have any power. It's just nice, smooth, fluid backswing. He goes back 30 miles an hour and comes through 30 miles an hour. And that's the greatness he has.
Gets it together. Very rarely gets his game totally out of kilter. He trails Mike Aulby by 10 in match number 1 here at Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona, in a race for $95,000. We'll be back.
Unfiring, cold cranking, dirt fighting, road handling, money saving, hard working, AC Delco.
You know, dirt can do more damage in there than it does out here. That's why it makes real good sense to use AC, oil and air filters, because they're one hard-working solution to internal pollution.
Hot firing, cold cranking, dirt fighting, road handling, money saving, hard working, AC Delco.
Everywhere you look these These days, you'll see America firming up. Millions are discovering just how good fitness feels.
I'm Susan Anton. Fitness that feels good by day needs firmness that feels good by night.
Top comfort, deep support. You get both in every Serta Perfect Sleeper. Be a perfect sleeper. Buy a perfect sleeper. Perfect sleeper. Buy Serta. It's a healthy investment in yourself.
Dredging for oysters isn't easy, but I like it out here. There's no time clocks or traffic jams, and the air is fresher and the water's cleaner. And you know, I even think the beer tastes better. Hey, looks like it's Miller time. Yeah!
Miller time. Time for America's quality beer.
Well, another day at the office, huh?
Miller High Life.
If you've got the time.
Three Millers.
Miller's got the beer. Miller beer.
Along with Dick Weber, this is Dave Dials. We're live from Tucson, and this is Mike Aulby leading Earl Anthony by 10 in match number 1, and leaves one.
Dave, you know, I must admit, sometimes I get my pins mixed up because I think these guys are right-handed, and they're left-handed. I called a week 10 while ago, and it's a week 7 for Mike Aulby. A solid 7, it was a solid 10.
But you shouldn't worry about that. I was fishing with Ted Williams a few weeks ago down on Isla Mirada, and he was wrong 7 times out of 10 and still made it to the Hall of Fame. So Mike Aulby, what does he look for on the lanes today?
I'll be looking for on the lanes today. We've had an excessive hook for myself. I'll be looking, this is a tighter part of the house for me, so I'll be starting around the 4th arrow and working from there, probably a little bit deeper than the 4th arrow because the lanes are hooking quite a bit. So I'll be looking for a little more oil in the center of the lane today.
Dave, when he says the tighter end, he means he's trying to find where the oil line is so he can hold the ball in a tighter line and not have so much swing on the ball.
You know, a young man, 22, can say to you, gee, it doesn't bother me because I've done all right head-to-head against Earl Anthony. But when you look at Earl's statistics, as impressive as anyone's who ever bowled, I would say that Aulby has to be at least painfully aware of the man he's bowling. It's just not like he's out for a Sunday afternoon spin.
Well, that's mighty true. In fact, that's the way I am when I sit next to you.
They kind of just toppled all but one. Earl looking pained. The expression there is probably wondering, you know.
He's afraid to let up a little bit, which is unusual for Earl because he likes to use the slower speed, but he seems to be a little more tense on the even lane.
Earl Anthony. We wondered, asking Earl, does psyching out tactics come into play in the final round?
I don't think, especially in this situation on a telecast, there can't be much psyching out. It's just a matter of who's the most aggressive, who actually finds the shot the fastest and makes the best shots. Mike Aulby's a very talented player, even though he's a young player. I don't think it's possible to psych that kind of a player out.
I think right now, Earl has to find his own groove right now. That's what he's looking for.
He has to play his game, his own game.
Tom Watson said in golf several times, you must play the course, not the other players.
Exactly. The same thing in this sport, too. You just play along with your game and forget the other individual.
Earl talked today about how difficult it is for the average viewer to pick up the subtle changes that he makes. And I suppose you could pick them up, but they are so subtle.
I really have the problem picking it up.
Mike Aulby from Indianapolis, where a lot of news will be made this week. And there is Bobby Knipple, who finished 6th, just missed by 13 pins, has bowled very well this year.
Nice young fella. He came back from a serious illness and been bowling well. Nice to have him back.
Mike Aulby, who has won 4 PBA titles. Got to be an all right guy. He loves to fish when he's not bowling.
You mean that makes you an all right guy?
I think so. And Mike Aulby putting a little pressure on Earl Anthony. He has 3 in a row with a strike up in the 7th, and he's leading Earl Anthony in match number 1 from Tucson for $95,000.
America, let's turn it to gold. Let's turn it to gold.
Recycling can turn aluminum into gold because you get cash. And during June, Alcoa will give a penny a pound to the 1984 U.S. Olympic team. So pick up your favorite beverages in aluminum cans and turn them into gold. Just call for the recycling center nearest you.
America, let's turn it to gold. Let's turn it to gold.
Millions of people have discovered a low-cost alternative to car care, where qualified mechanics do quality work. They discovered K-Care, found only at Kmart.
When you can get a quality brake job for $98, not just the front, but both front disc and rear drum, that's some value. Well, that's what the K-Care brake special is all about. For only $98, we'll do a front and rear brake job using Ray Bestis Manhattan quality parts. At that price, why do it yourself? That's K-Care, only at Kmart.
Next week, the Professional Bowler Spring Tour travels to the Great Pacific Northwest for the $95,000 Seattle Open. It was here 1 year ago that Jeff Moran won his first career victory, and he'll be on hand to defend his title. Join us next Saturday for the final round, live at 3:30 Eastern Time on ABC.
Along with Dick Weber, this is Dave Dials, and you're watching Earl Anthony trailing Mike Aulby by 29 pins. Earl bowling in the 7th. Did he make an adjustment that you could spot?
Yes, I think he went back to his normal speed, not trying to force the ball to hold the pocket on that particular lane, and it worked out well for him.
In other words, he danced with who he brung, right?
By the way, you mentioned Mike Aulby liked to fish. Earl Anthony likes to play golf, and I know that you're having an Appalachia golf tournament coming up in Racine, Ohio.
Well, the tournament's actually over at Mason, West Virginia, be coming up, and you're going to be one of our special guests down there.
They fish over there, too?
A little bit. They're going to see that again.
This is a very thin strike. As we see the ball just tickle the head pin, and the head pin coming off carrying the 6 and 10.
Just a little nudge on the 10. You mentioned we'll have an elaborate dinner down there for our tournament. We'll have surf and turf, which down in southern Ohio and West Virginia is carp and bologna. But we will entertain you. Mike Aulby is leading Earl Anthony now by 9, and Aulby in the 8th. And he strikes again. That shows me something about the young man. When Anthony throws a strike at him, he comes right back with a strike.
Well, you know, he's watching his feet here. He's keeping himself in good, slow tempo, which is a good thing for Mike, because he has a tendency, like a lot of young fellas, of really rushing that foul line. He's keeping that foot forward. Rushing the foul line keeps him off balance. So right now he's got the good, perfect tempo.
I guess when I first started doing Pro Bowlers Tour 7 or 8 years ago, Frank Esposito told me, you told me, Nelson Burton told me, Chris Schenkel told me. The 9th frame, very critical, the building frame, and this is where Mike Aulby is right now.
Good break for Earl Anthony, bad break for Mike Aulby.
Could have been worse for Aulby, though.
The ball is coming in very, very late, this particular pocket hit, and that 4-pin wraps around the 7 and just does knock this 10 down. It could have had a 7-10 pocket split, which is not in your favor.
He was working on 4 in a row. Anthony going for 4 in a row when he's up next in the 9th. Aulby holds on and gets the 7-10, and now, how critical is this 9th frame, Dick, for Earl Anthony?
Well, it's very critical. He needs this hit very, very bad. He's on a 209 right now. Aulby's on a pace of 227. If Anthony gets the first 2 and 9, this would force Mike Aulby to get the first 2 in the 10th. So it's a critical frame for Earl Anthony. That's the curses of Earl Anthony, I'll tell you.
I guess that says it better than anything else about the man. He had to get it, and he did.
Oh, what a ball.
And he still was a tiny bit thin, wasn't he?
Yes, but he had the ball rolling so well, we call that a swishing hit. And anytime you have a ball that goes into the pocket and swishes that 5-pin out with the velocity it did then.
Can do a lot of things for you, can't it? Maybe Mike Aulby's expression says a lot, because Earl Anthony now has 4 in a row. Aulby had 4 in a row and spared in the 9th. Earl, first ball in the 10th.
Dave, with this next hit that Earl Anthony can get, the 9 pins would shut Mike Aulby out of the match.
You know, I guess that all great champions have a casual approach. Sometimes when they're interviewed, somebody asked Earl Anthony, holder of 39 titles, what is your goal? He said, to win 40 titles.
That's for sure. He's very deserving of it, too. He's a classic, great professional. Mike, if he struck out, would have 237.
Well, the lanes have been behaving mysteriously. Sometimes during the week, it appears that for match 1 anyway, both Earl Anthony and Mike Aulby, if not having solved the lanes, have at least learned to deal with them, and are going to put up very respectable scores. Earl will be in the 230s. It's his 8th championship round appearance this year. Open slightly.
The situation is, Dave, 236 for Earl Anthony. Mike Aulby has to have all 3 to beat Earl Anthony by 1 pin. 2 strikes and 9 pins means a tie game, which means then we would go into a sudden death 9th and 10th frame.
The winner of this will take on Mike Durbin, the Firestone champion. We have a brand new crew here today. Chris is in Rome. Nelson Burton Jr. is in the driver's seat. And our regular scorer, Mike Durbin, is out bowling, and Larry Laub is helping us out here in the booth today. And that's Harry Golden, the tournament director there, with Mike Aulby. He asked for and got a re-rack. He can get one. I think if he wants a second one, he has to ask for it. Am I correct on that?
Yes, that's correct.
Must have a strike. Gets it. And must have another strike. Trailing by 9, going into this frame, he has struck with his first ball in the 10th. And Earl Anthony, the most interested spectator in Golden Pin lanes right now.
I think he's rerunning the last shot in the 10th frame where he had 7 pins. I think that he's running that through his mind, reminiscing a little bit.
Let's just watch now. He has 2.
Maybe he's stand on his ball to win by 1 pin. You don't think that's pressure on a young boy that's 22 years of age? We see the ball coming from the other end of the lane, solid into the 1-2 pocket, carrying all 10 pins.
We are just going to watch right now. Match 1 before we can go to match 2 here for $95,000 at Tucson.
Tonight, the Martins are watching the whole world go up in flames. A home they may never get back.
Allstate update. Home replacement guarantee.
The Martins have homeowners insurance, but they don't have Allstate's home replacement guarantee. It's better than inflation protection alone because it guarantees Allstate will pay to rebuild your home, brick for brick, regardless of cost. Today, you need Allstate's home replacement guarantee. Another reason you're in good hands with Allstate.
GMC is a big name in trucks with some great little news. Introducing the Little Rig, GMC's new S15, a new small GMC with an available long bed and V6 engine. When it comes to economy, it can run rings around a lot of small cars, but it can work like a truck. GMC's new Little Rig. Jump into one. That's your GMC dealer.
Now on GMC light duties, 12.8 annual percentage rate financing to qualified buyers now through May 31st.
Monday on That's Incredible, the youngest jockey to beat Shoemaker, Preakness winner Jack Canal.
It's here. It's now. It's totally exciting. The new Showboat Racing Sportsbook. So different you have to experience it yourself. The Showboat Racing Sportsbook, the next best thing to being there. Feel the thrills, ride the winners. It's all here at the Showboat Racing Sportsbook. Come in and let the Showboat put you in the middle of all the action all the time. The Showboat Racing Sportsbook. We're out to make an impression on you because when it comes to sports, you can bet on the boat.
More crazy comedy.
Yes, well, as a matter of fact, it is about my uncle that we wish to talk to you, Grovel. Isn't that so, darling?
If you say so.
Have a look at him, Grovel. How does he strike you?
Dick Emery, Saturday night, 11:15.
For weather, it's Eric Randall on News 13.
He made a mistake in judgment by going to commercial, and Mike Aulby, in a roll-off, has struck 3 times in a row. Earl Anthony has struck once. What a way to start a tournament for $95,000 in a field that's absolutely studded with championships. We mentioned this field. 68 titles among the 5. And now, very simple. Mike Aulby has 4 in a row. Good for 60. And Earl Anthony has 1, each 3. Or Aulby advances to take on Mike Durbin. Very cut and dried. Earl didn't get it. Mike Aulby's the winner. Great hand for 2 great performances by 2 outstanding bowlers. Just didn't get it there. Very unusual for Earl Anthony to do it like that, to be out of the pocket, but he was indeed out of the pocket, and so Mike Aulby is the winner of match 1, and he'll take on Mike Durbin. So Earl Anthony must wait at least another week to get his 40th PBA championship. Aulby and Durbin will be practicing a bit now. Mike Durbin is going to take on Mike Aulby from Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona. $12,000 is the winner's prize. We'll be right back.
If you had a favorite airplane, this one's going to take its place. United 767. United helped design this plane with wider seats along twin aisles. 88% of them are next to an aisle or next to a window, and overhead, 50% more room. The new generation jet, United's 767, this fall.
I've pushed a lot of ships around this harbor. I haven't lost one yet. When you finally get them on their own, that's when you realize how thirsty you are and how good a cold beer is gonna taste. That's it, guys. It's Miller time.
Miller time. Time for America's quality beer.
Home again.
Miller High Life.
If you've got the time. It's a Miller's for my Miller's got the beer.
The quiet principality of Monaco turns upside down when its winding streets welcome the prestigious Grand Prix. Plus, daredevils dive 10 stories down. ABC's Wide World of Sports is next.
Here you see the flight board. Mike Aulby over Earl Anthony, 60-40 in a roll-off. And Aulby against Durbin is our match number 2, $95,000 live from Golden Pin Lanes in beautiful, sunny Tucson, Arizona on the ABC Spring Tour. There you see the handshake, Durbin and Aulby. Mike Durbin, the Firestone winner out of Chagrin Falls, Ohio. He won that right in his backyard. Mike Aulby. Hurdle number 1 was Earl Anthony. He's over that.
The young man really showed me a lot of pressure shooting there, Dave. I think he's got to settle himself down now and collect his thoughts a little bit, because that was an exciting match for him, tension-filled, and he just better sit down in that chair a little bit and think what he's supposed to do next frame.
Larry Lobb just pointed out to us that Aulby had only 1 ball out of the pocket in his match against Earl Anthony and threw 7 strikes. Very consistent. And here's a man who's been very consistent for a long time. 41-year-old Mike Durbin. Dick explained to our viewers that earlier Durbin was riding the ragged edge. He was out there just as far out as you could get. Now he's not out that far now. Why is that?
Well, possibly because the lane has broken down a little bit more, and he was out on what we call the twig, the very first board. Now he's had to move in because the oil has moved in a little bit.
What a cluster of 3 there. They have maintained an even pace after 1 frame, Aulby and Durbin. Now, somebody asked Mike Durbin, how often do you practice? He said, as little as I can.
Little as he can.
Doesn't like to practice.
He has a very basic game. He has a great mental attitude to the game, approach to the game. And I consider if I ever needed a strike, I think I'd call on this young man right here to throw the strike for me.
He was using everything there.
Now there again, Dave, as we watch the ball roll into the pocket, very, very light. The 5-pin will go in front of the 7, but just enough to nudge it and knock it down.
That could have ruined his entire afternoon.
Yes.
Mike Durbin, should point out, is a very devout man who leads the Pro Bowlers group in prayer group and Bible study, and is a very, very fine man, in addition to being an outstanding championship bowler.
Yes, every Tuesday night on the tour, he has the Bible study class, and it's quite rewarding and quite interesting.
Mike Aulby, who had everything clicking against Earl Anthony, now has had 2 successive balls in there that were less than he needs to continue on toward the final game to take on our colleague Nelson Burton Jr.
There's Mike Aulby's strategy. As you can see that he's had 2 shots on this particular pair, and he's chose the deep inside angle, which is unusual because, ooh, the 2-4-5 just in time. Going back to the deep inside compared to the outside shot will be much better carrying, but as we watch Mike Aulby's ball just nicking the 5-pin.
The slightest kiss. That's a first date kiss there.
That's a whisper of a kiss, right? First grade kiss.
Well, you must have been much more precocious than I. Now he's got it back in the groove. You know, Mike was a an All-American bowler in high school. And, the next year was Rookie of the Year on the PBA Tour. Done very, very well, young man at 22.
He's done well in his 4-year career, believe me. And he'll be around for another many, many years.
You know, this is not the first time that he's beaten Anthony, as we watched Mike Durbin here with a strike. All right, Mike Durbin, a very methodical man. We asked Mike about his mental checklist that he goes through before he steps out onto the lanes.
Basically, my mental checklist is that I want to have the ball over to the right in line with my right shoulder. I want to make sure that my right foot and right hand start together at the same time, and then my left arm starts to come back for balance. I think of a nice long slide and my follow-through going to 90 degrees.
And if you can do that every time, you'll be just as good as Mike Durbin.
He's put some pressure on Mike Aulby here. You know, Aulby beating Anthony, of course, a great accomplishment in itself, but he defeated Earl Anthony when he won the PBA National Championship. Became the youngest bowler to win that when he was 19. Defeated Anthony 245 to 217 back in 1979 in Las Vegas. He now trails Mike Durbin by 12. Needs a strike to double up and gets it.
You'll notice the difference between the last 2 shots and the first 2 frames. His last 2 shots, he's slowed his pace down. He's taken his time. He's collected his thoughts, reminisced his basics right there on the approach. The first 2 frames, he's still a little excited from the match before.
When I talked with you over the phone right before your son Pete won, I said, you got any advice for him? And you said, just stick to basics.
That's right. I think you'll find this in any sport, too. Won't you, Dave? You wrote the book.
Mike Aulby now with 3 in a row. It's almost like a tennis match, tossing the pressure back and forth over the net. Now it's back on Mike Durbin. He's now down by 8, working on a double in the 5th. Left it way outside that time.
Really rushed himself that time. Very unusual for Mike Durbin to rush himself because he generally goes through the motions of counting to himself, of setting the ball. And as we see the ball rolling down, it just never makes the pocket.
What did he forget on his checklist?
Well, he forgot to take his time on his footwork. He really rushed his footwork, causing him to release the ball late.
Oh, nice pickup. Nice pickup. I'll tell you, here's a guy who has a record of 14-2 in championship round competition on the tour in the last 3 years, so he can handle pressure.
Yes, and amateurs take note. That's how to make the war shot, the 1-2-4-10.
His 3rd championship round appearance this year. Mike Durbin. A lot of pin action there.
Good roll on the ball, good roll.
3rd in earnings this year, more than $65,000. As we see Mike Aulby, who has won in excess of $36,000 this year. He's with Harry Golden, the tournament director.
Doesn't particularly care for the way the pins are set on the right lane, so he naturally has to call for Harry Golden to get approval, and Harry Golden didn't give his approval.
He still doesn't like the way they look. There's a 10 pin still standing.
Yes, the 5 pin must have been setting to a little bit to the right on Mike's set, so the 5 pin actually didn't get to the 10 pin. You see the ball rolling in the pocket.
And a little thin hit there, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, but he drove that 5 toward the 10, but just because the 5 pin was offset to the right, just a fraction, made the difference.
So Mike Aulby, up by 11 now, has a spare in the 6th.
taking note to the youngsters and well as the amateurs as well. Mike Aulby has a tendency to wipe off the bowling ball, wipe all the dust and the oil and dressing like that off the ball. Just a little thing that he likes to do.
He's back on target with a strike in the 7th. He averaged a little better than 213 this week here at Golden Pin Lanes, and we'll be back to Golden Pin Lanes. Match number 2 for $95,000. Mike Durbin.
That's 1 pin difference now, Dave. We've got another possibility of a tie game.
Mike Durbin with a strike in the 7th. He has 2 in a row. Aulby looking for 2 in a row. What kind of ball is Durbin using, Dick, do you know?
This is a urethane ball. The bowlers are using a lot of urethane bowling balls, and of course I think a couple of them will be using a plastic ball today. You change balls with the condition of the lanes.
It looked to me like he set it down a little early that time, but he got away with it.
A little bit. Mike seems to be a little excited today, which is unusual for Mike because always has that good thing. There you see David Ozio, who will meet the winner of this particular match.
He's practicing down on lane 23 to our right. And this is Mike Aulby. Leaves a stubborn 10 pin again. He has done that several times. And around the pocket, in the pocket, all but one time. You know, he's a young man who rolled 8 300 games in a 6-month span some time ago. Got into, believe it or not, for doing that.
There again, Dave, he hit that pocket a little bit light on the even lane, leaving that 10 pin.
Warm round of applause for Mike Aulby. You can see the scoreboard. He trails by 9. His second championship round appearance this year was second in the Rolaids Open, losing to Bill Straub in that. He was 6th at Miami, 8th in the U.S. Open, 10th in the Miller Classic in Anaheim, 12th in the PBA Nationals. A very consistent performer this year. Coming up next, we'll have our Rolaids Tip of the Week with Nelson Burton Jr. reading the lanes, and maybe Bo will be wise and watch his own tip, because that's certainly what he has to do this week.
I will certainly pay attention.
Mike Durbin up by 9, bowling in the 9th. Oh, got straight on the head pin, and luckily didn't get a split out of that.
And also a real bad count, Dave, getting 8 pins. Watch Mike Durbin with his profile. Push, down, back.
Shoulders level.
Swing and follow through with shoulders square to that foul line and good extension. Just a picture of a good bowler.
He was third in this event way back in 1969. This is one of the oldest, if not the oldest stop on the Pro Bowlers Tour. What, 21 years?
Yes, I made the very first one here, too.
And a guy whose name is well known to many of you, Pete Tauntus, general manager here, former touring pro, winner of a couple of titles, plus a Masters, right?
Right. Good bowler.
The Golden Greek.
Excellent host. Mike Durbin wants this in very, very bad.
A lot of pin action, and Mike Durbin has a strike in the 10th.
This situation being, he needs this in here to make Mike Durbin or Mike Aulby get the first 2 in the 10th. And there's our great host, Pete Tauntus.
I was kidding him last night when he was making some presentations. I said he sounded a little bit like Lawrence Welk, but a magnificent host.
Yes.
What great weather we've had here.
Mike taking a little extra time.
Maybe going over his checklist. Great pocket hit. And he has a double in the 10th. What does that do to Aulby now?
That means that Mike Aulby has to get 2 strikes in the 10th, and depending on what Mike Durbin does in the count ball here, Mike Aulby will just have to match to win the game.
Durbin now up by 17. He'll be in the 230s. Lots of pin action again, and Mike Durbin finishes with 3 in a row.
Exactly. Mike Aulby will need 2 strikes and 8 pins to win by 1 pin.
Didn't get it. Left to 7. And so Mike Durbin, the Firestone champion, is our winner of match number 2. And Mike Durbin will advance to match number 3 against David Ozio. $95,000 up for grabs here in Tucson. We'll be right back.
Once you put motor on a can, you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't watch it work. So how do you know how good it is?
At Quaker State, we put it in writing. We back up our quality with a lifetime guarantee.
How do you know how good Quaker State is?
We guarantee every new car engine against oil-related failure for as long as you own your car. We put it in writing.
We're working to keep your car staying on the road.
How do you know how good Quaker State is? We put it in writing. No one else does.
17 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this house with a brush. Then we painted it in just 6.5 hours with a Wagner power painter. This wicker chair took over an hour, but less than 5 minutes with a Wagner power painter. A shutter that took 20 minutes, a power painter finished in only 3. It's a tool so versatile, it has a flexible spray tip and a way to draw paint right from a can. A Wagner power painter. It's the right tool for painting.
When Sears puts a muzzler on your car, we'll stand behind it, no matter what. Year after year, mile after mile, if it fails, we'll replace it free. Yet the muzzler muffler's only $24.99 installed in only an hour after you're okay or the labor's free.
And if you need your brakes fixed, have confidence. Sears can fix them the day you come in or the next working day. At Sears Tire and Auto Centers, we install confidence. You can count on Sears.
There you see the flight board. Aulby over Anthony, and then Mike Durbin of Chagrin Falls, Ohio, over Mike Aulby of Indianapolis, 233 to 216. And now it's going to be Durbin versus Ozio. And the winner of this match will take on Nelson Burton Jr. It's time now for the Roll Age Tip of the Week. It's done by Nelson Burton Jr., and he's talking today about reading the lanes.
The Professional Bowling Tip of the Week is brought to you by Roll Age.
Once you have mastered the fundamentals of bowling, you are not a complete bowler until you next learn how to read the lanes. Today I'm going to show you how to find your proper strike position regardless of what lane you're bowling on. Now I'm going to try my usual strike spot out on the lane to see how the lane is playing. I position my feet in a normal strike area on the approach, as indicated by the red tape. As you have just seen, the lane is dry, my ball is hooking too much, and I miss to the left. The adjustment when you miss to the left is to move to the left. My new strike position is here on the green tape. Let's see how it works. You've seen the adjustment on the dry lane. Let's try the slick lane. As you've just seen on the slick lane, I missed to the right. So my adjustment is to move to the right. Remember the golden rule for reading the lanes. If you miss to the left, move to the left. If you miss to the right, move to the right.
The Dallas Morning News, 3 a.m. You know this crew gets heartburn. And when they do, there's no time to stop. No wonder so many people take Rolaids, the tablet that gives millions 100% relief. Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief. With Rolaids, you can keep going. Rolaids. Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Along with Dick Weber, this is Nelson Burton Jr., and we're ready for match 3. It's Mike Durbin against David Ozio. Mike Durbin, a man who has won a lot of titles, 10 of them. David Ozio, a man who has won none. Mike Durbin will lead it off. I'll tell you something, he has been in the same spot for the last 4 frames. He's found something, Dick.
He's finding his rhythm a little bit, counting his stance up there where he's placing the ball, putting the elbow, making sure he gets that left arm back.
It's his 5th time he's been here. This is David Ozio of Vidor, Texas. And the 10-pin will not go.
You'll notice, too, that David Ozio's bowling ball will break real sharp at the back end. And he'll leave a lot of those what we call weak 10s, where the 6-pin lays in the gutter and doesn't kick the 10-pin out.
Cross and getting the 10. As you guys often say, no excuse for missing a 1-pin split, or 1-pin spare.
As you watch David Ozio, he's very mechanical, muscles the ball an awful lot. Very tense individual, has a good knee bend, good follow through though. But it gets a little bit too strong at times.
We're joined in the booth today by Dick Weber, PBA Hall of Famer and member of the executive board of the PBA. And this is David Ozio, who has a strike in the 2nd. 68 championships among the 5 finalists today, and David Ozio, the only one who has not yet been to the winner's circle. He could get there today. You know, today's a big day down in my home county, my hometown of Middleport, Ohio. We have a 4-star general who was my next-door neighbor, General James Hardinger, who's being honored there all weekend. And I love being here, but I wish I could be there to help pay tribute to this outstanding human being, great military man. That the whole town, the whole county are really going all out this week to honor General James Hardinger. Mike Durbin, who defeated Mike Aulby 233 to 216, now taking on David Ozio. And Mike Jr. and Christine and Matthew, along with Mike's wife Debbie, watching today in Chagrin Falls, Ohio.
Mike Jr., by the way, is quite a bowler himself.
We're going to take a look at his feet. Dick?
Watch the feet. Now, he generally takes a longer step than most bowlers with the 1, 2, and then the 3, and then he'll take that long slide on the 4th step and points that toe to his left, where most bowlers will point it to the right. If you like it, try it.
If it works, keep doing it. exactly the same spot. Mike Durbin has found his groove here. Now, but it could be that the groove will change a little bit. He'll have to change with it as the lanes dry out, correct?
Yes, possibly he will have to move to his left a little bit, where Ozio has that wider area to play with, and David can make a few more mistakes than Mike can because of the area that he covers.
Big lift on it. Almost a straight-on hit, and the left one.
One thing that David does, he gets a little aggravated himself. Too quick, too much. But being a young man, he'll overcome that eventually. Old age sets in.
We don't want to dwell on people's adversities, but there's a great human interest story involving David Ozio. He was off the tour. His wife, Sharon, died during childbirth in January of 1981. After several months, David decided to rejoin the tour with winning in his late wife's memory. He's left himself an awful situation here, 7-10. We saw that picked up one day. Mark Roth did it on our telecast one day.
Correct. And just watch how the ball hits the pocket, but everything flies in front of the 7-pin and in front of the 10-pin. And the pin rolling around to get the 10-pin never makes it because it hits the other pin.
Uncommon leave there. David Ozio settles for the 10. And we're going to leave live action now for a moment. Mike Durbin in front of David Ozio by 13 pins, and we'll return to the Pro Bowlers Tour in Tucson, Arizona after these messages.
It'll never work.
We're testing whether Tegrin can keep Lisa's dandruff under control for 3 days. Okay, Lisa, give it the Tegrin shake.
Looks terrific. But it's only 1 day.
Tegrin shake, day 2, Lisa.
Wow, Tegrin's on the job. But there's tomorrow.
Day 3. Let's see that Tegrin shake.
Hey, I'm really impressed. Tegrin, I'm sorry I doubted you.
Try Tegrin. It works.
Really works.
Between shampoos.
You men. There's only one reason you wear cologne. Only one reason. Women. Hey, that's okay. Why do you think we use perfume? But as long as you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. Use this cologne, English leather, because English leather drives women crazy. Now, can you think of a better reason to wear a cologne? English leather drives women crazy.
All right, that strike you just saw as we're back live was Mike Durbin striking in the 5th, and while we were away, he struck in the 4th. So Mike Durbin is on a triple, and he leads David Ozio by 33 pins now. David Ozio from Vidor, Texas. He's 28 years old. David Ozio, without a title, is he intimidated by being the only non-title winning finalist in today's field?
No, I'm not intimidated at all. Between the 4 guys bowling today, they have 68 titles, and the situation more or less feels like the story of David and Goliath, and I believe today the big guys are going to fall.
All right. All right. Well, a couple of big guys aren't here. Marshall Holman, Don Johnson, among those who have not attended the PBA school. That is a requirement, and they have elected not to attend as yet, and so they are not eligible to tee it up here. But it's our understanding that Marshall Holman, one of the premier bowlers out here, will attend the school. Look here, look here. Left everything out there and almost got the 7. Didn't quite get it. And he gets a warm round of applause for that.
Well, he just wanted to get 2 pins, Dave, and accidentally just do it just right and making the 4, 6, 10, leaving the 7 pin. And it's a very difficult square to make. He's really aggravated himself because he threw the ball bad. He let up on the ball a little bit and cut sharply through the nose and leaving the big 4 split, 4, 7, 6, 10.
And Mike Durbin takes advantage of that by stringing together 4 in a row. And he has now increased his lead over David Ozio to 55 pins.
And our cohort, Nelson Burton Jr., is over on the practice lanes warming up pretty good. He better, because this man here, Mike Durbin, has a great record on the telecast. He is now 15-2 in these last 3 years. And if he wins this match, he'll be 16-2 next.
And if he wins this, he'll take on Nelson Burton Jr. And he strikes in the 7th. And we are going to leave live action here at Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona, where the bowlers are teeing it up for $95,000. We'll leave live action. We will return after this.
Wherever men race to win, champion spark plugs will be there. You can be a winner, too. You can win a free trip to the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, Las Vegas. And you can find out if you're a winner by looking for the contest ad in these issues of Popular Mechanics, TV Guide, or Reader's Digest. Remove the coded instant winner card. Take it wherever you see this sign. Do it today. Win with Champion, the spark plug that wins the world over.
This is a Honda portable generator. It does a lot of useful things. It can run my TV. It can cook my dinner. It even lights up my patio. It gives you up to 500 watts of power, no matter how far away you get from an electrical outlet. Now you've got power, when and where you need it.
The Honda portable generator. It'll even charge your car battery.
The quiet principality of Monaco turns upside down when its winding streets welcome the prestigious Grand Prix. Plus, Daredevils dive 10 stories down. ABC's Wide World of Sports is next.
This is Mike Durbin, and he leaves the 7-pin after having 5 consecutive strikes. He is bowling in the 8th, and while we were away from live action, David Ozio had a strike in the 7th and then left the washout in the 8th, the 1-2-4-10, but he picked it up. Mike Durbin leading David Ozio by 65 pins. Durbin bowling in the 8th, trying to pick up a spare, and he gets it. Let's go downstairs now to Nelson Burton Jr., who today is being interviewed.
Well, Bo, observing the matches before you, what have you observed in the matches, and what's your contention now?
Well, it looks like I'll go against Durbin, and right now he's bowling as well as anybody in the country, not only today, but right now out on the tour. It seems like every year the winner of the Firestone Tournament of Champions goes on a rampage for a few months. I just want him to slow down for about 20 minutes and starting in about 2 minutes from now.
Okay, Bo. Back to you, Dave.
All right. Mike Durbin doesn't want to slow down at all. And despairing in the 8th, has a strike in the 9th, and we have a winner. Mike Durbin has defeated David Ozio, and he indeed will go on to take on our colleague here, Nelson Burton Jr. The Professional Bowlers Spring Tour will continue after this message from one of our sponsors in a moment for station identification.
When you're a big guy like me, people always want to see just how strong you are. So after this arm works, this arm always relaxes with light beer from Miller. The light's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer, and it tastes great. What I like about it, it's less filling. So when you're in a hot match like this, you can't afford to get filled up.
You have the time?
Yeah. About 8:30.
Yeah, thanks.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer. And less.
Next.
If you want a real insurance value for your car, your home, your life or health, check with State Farm.
I'm State Farm Agent E.G. Warren. State Farm agents offer a good price on all your personal and family insurance. But a real value is more than just a good price. It's the protection that's right for your needs and personal service you can count on too. For good protection at a good price and service you really can't put a price on, check with State Farm.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Here, we've been honored with more awards than ever before. ABC News.
Maybe you're not in Earl Anthony's league, but your game is bound to be fun at Sam's Town's beautiful 56-lane bowling center. There's the latest Brunswick equipment, AS-80 automatic scoring, and the 2000 Systems laminate lanes. Relax, enjoy your game. Leave the scoring to us, and leave your children in our supervised child's play area. Sam's Town Hotel, Gambling Hall, and Bowling Center, Boulder Highway in Ellis.
Saturday, it's evening at the Improv.
The waiter over gave him my best MP, you know.
Joey Waiter!
Hey, nice place you got here. A lot of plants and wood and tile and stuff. And no, really, I swear to Buddha, my date and I were looking at the menu. We're kind of wondering, hey, what are the chances of us getting some beef?
Evening at the Improv, Saturday at 11:45 p.m. KTNV TV, Las Vegas.
The 1980 Tucson Open had a total purse of $95,000, and the size of the field was 160, and the average to cash was just a 200 average, and the average needed to make the final 24 was 204.6. And Nelson Burton Jr. led all 6 rounds, which is a phenomenal feat. And here we see Bobby Knippel, Dave Husted, and Larry Love, our statistician. Bo Bowden, one of our past champions. Gary Dixon, one of our past champions. And Steve Cook, our Firestone Tournament champion. Joe Hutchins, the clown of the tour,
yeah.
yes. Alvin Liu, one of our past champions. Very big smile. And rounding out the top 24 was Charlie Tapp and Wayne Webb. Back to you, Dave.
All right. We're going to throw it now to our colleague standing by in New York. Let's go back there now for a brief catch-up with Frank Gifford.
Frank Gifford, ABC Sports in New York. We'll be going back to Tucson and Dave Dow's in just a moment. Lamar Hoyt of the Chicago White Sox had his win streak shattered today. Lamar Hoyt losing to Cleveland 5-2 in the Chicago White Sox. He had 9 straight coming into today's victory. That, of course, dating back to last season. I want to remind you, following bowling, coming up on Wide World of Sports, the Grand Prix of Monaco, one of the best of all the Formula One races. We'll have the World Invitational High Dive Championship and a preview of the Indianapolis 500. The field is set, and you'll see it tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. All right, let's go back out to Tucson, Arizona for the final of the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour, the Tucson event. Dave?
All right, here you see it. Mike Durbin is ready to challenge Nelson Burton Jr. for $12,000. Durbin over Ozio, 259 to 184. Now we have our final match, and the winner takes away $12,000 here at Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona. Curiously enough, Nelson Burton Jr., our colleague here in the booth, who said last week, I had the worst tournament of my career. Starts with a strike.
2 young men here, Dave, who just have great concentration, sort of a Jack Nicklaus type of concentration, and they'll be battling right down to the final ball, I'm sure.
Strong on the head pin, but he got a little help from a friend.
Little bit.
And Mike Durbin with 18 strikes out of 24. He's averaging 246 today.
And he's hitting the pocket well there, Dave, but just high enough to trip that 4 right into the 9 pin. Great rolling ball when you do that. Mike Durbin's averaging 246 for his final 2 games here.
He's bowling against a man who is off to the slowest start of his career. First time he's been in the championship round this year.
But you can wipe that out, Dave. He's a tough bowler.
And Mike Durbin has started with consecutive strikes, and he has a 10-pin lead over this man, Nelson Burton Jr. I was kidding him. I said, you know, if you don't win today, people are going to quit paying attention to your tips. That, of course, is not true, because he is a classic stylist, is he not?
Yes, he is. He very much so. He goes by the book.
Little thin.
The one thing he told me today, he didn't want to get too excited, get too hyped up here, because you've got to keep your coolness out there. You've got to keep calm. Make sure you stroke through the ball well.
The last tournament title, 1980, the Fairlanes Open. Was a pair in the second. We're going to take a look at the profile of our colleague here, Nelson Burton Jr. Dick?
Very similar to Mike Durbin, only he takes 5 steps, but he gets that ball down, and he doesn't have a high backswing, a shoulder-level backswing. Shoulders parallel to the foul line, good knee bend, which gives him a good follow-through.
Tell you something about Bo Burton. He's a finely tuned man, very well conditioned, very muscular, works out regularly, takes excellent care of himself.
Well, his father's responsible for that, too, a little bit. His father's in good shape, good bowler.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. Put them all in the pit. After a weak hit in the second frame, Nelson Burton Jr. coming back with a strike in the third.
The exciting part about this final match is both these fellas have met each other before. I don't know which has the better record, but they both respect each other very much. They don't want to give an edge to either one.
Well, they sit beside each other week after week up here.
Yes, they do. Oops.
Started it out, got out on the ragged edge a little too far and didn't get back in. Tell me why that is.
Well, he never got the knee bend, first of all. He was a little bit fast on the feet, and that causing him not to get the knee bend and down to the with the ball to the lane. So it made the quickness in his release, not getting a good lift or a good roll on the ball. And here you see the 2-8 spare, 2-1 for the pros.
Very well done. Mike Durbin up by 8 pins going into the fourth frame. His record in championship round competition the last 3 years now a glittering 16-2. That tells you better than anything else about this man's competitive instincts.
Vegas odds would say the odds are with him.
Dead on the head pin and looking for help and doesn't get it this time. You talk about Nelson Burton Jr. talking about how poorly he bowled last week, called it probably the worst tournament of his career, finished 131st in the AC Delco Classic. Mike Durbin finished out of the money in 98th place last week.
And that's just how strong of a bowler Nelson Burton Jr. is, where he finishes 117 last week, first this week, all 6 rounds.
Well, Mike Durbin with consecutive spares in the third and fourth. We're going to take a moment out here in our final match. $12,000 up for grabs. We'll be right back at Tucson.
What made Chevy Chevette the best-selling small car in America last year?
All the standard features: reclining front seats, AM radio, shift console, white striped tires, fold-down rear seat, and lots of other things.
Would it be Chevette's low price? It's still one of the lowest-priced Ford or hatchbacks sold in America, foreign or domestic.
And now, with a low 12.8 percentage rate, you can save an average of $613 on financing on new Chevettes delivered through May 31st.
If you could repaint the world, you might decide to change a few things, but you'd still want to use a quality paint like the Kmart Performer, so your good taste would show. It's manufactured for Kmart by Dutch Boy, so you know it's good. The Performer is a quality exterior paint with 9-year durability. Keep it in mind when it's time to paint your own little corner of the world. The Performer, quality by Dutch Boy, the price by Kmart.
We have a star-studded field. Star in the booth here with me, Dick Weber, and a star right there, Nelson Burton Jr., winner of 15 PBA titles. And this one is for $12,000, but more importantly, the championship, I think. He's against Mike Durbin. Bowling in the fourth frame. Stubborn 7. Bo didn't understand that. He thought he had a good hit. And he did, didn't he?
He thought he threw a great ball, and he did throw a great ball. But just a little bit too much tail at the end where the 4-pin went in front of the 7. And as you see, the last victory he had was 1980 at the Fairlanes Open, and he wants this one real bad.
All right, Nelson Burton Jr. The question is it another tournament, or do you have something special to prove?
Well, the Tucson Open today has special meaning for me. First place I haven't won in 2 years, so
I like to prove to myself that I can still win, but also I like to prove to the 20 million people that watch us every week and watch the tips that I can still win and follow the tips.
Okay.
Amen.
All right, that says it. All right, Nelson Burton Jr. with a strike up in the 5th. Did you see any adjustment that he made, Dick?
No, he really didn't make any readjustment. As you see the ball going in, the ball didn't break as sharp this time as it did on the right lane, but it kicked the 4 out. So Bo's not going to change a thing now because the last 3 balls that he's thrown has been solid in the pocket. You can't change when you do that. Mike Durbin finishing 3rd in the 1969 Tucson Open. Mike's been around a few years.
Uh-oh. You know, you could tell he sat the ball down, didn't he? It didn't seem like he had his groove or his momentum or his, whatever you want to call it. He didn't seem to be in rhythm, tempo.
Yeah, his rhythm has completely left him. He's never gotten into the good knee bend where he should in his 3rd step, and that causes him to rear at the foul line a little bit, release that ball a little bit too quick.
Picks up the automatic spare, but now he has 3 consecutive spares running through 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and Bo has the door open here because he has a strike up in the 5th.
Gives him the advantage. He could take a 4-pin lead here. Mike taking a little more time than usual. And he's thrown a couple of bad shots this game.
Dick, is there any gamesmanship involved here? A little psychology, a battle of wits at all, do you think, maybe?
Well, there might be. If you notice, Mike Durbin really doesn't watch Bo Burton shoot his shot, and Bo knows this. Bo give him a little winkle or twinkle of the eye and try to throw him off, but that's just part of the game.
Nelson Burton Jr. responding to the challenge as 2 consecutive strikes in the 5th and 6th, and he, as Dick Weber said he could be, is now up by 4.
Look there. Must maintain my form and try not to hook the ball too much, which is Bo's game. If he tries to hook the ball too much, he's wild. He goes to the nose, he misses the head pin, does a little bit of everything. That's very smart. That's a good tip to pass on to the amateurs.
He doesn't believe that. He went down to his knees. He doesn't believe that. I suppose the results wouldn't indicate perfection, but it looks perfect to me, Dick.
Oh, it is, Dave. This is what they call supposedly the true tap. I don't believe that, but that's where the 2 and the 5 kiss and wrap around the 8. And you can see Bo's reaction. He left a solid 7 in the 4th and a solid 8 in the 7th. That would have given him a 5-bagger. That would have given him a pretty good lead at this particular time. But it's the breaks of the game. Bad breaks of the game.
Yeah, it really is, because he's been solidly in there. And he is now 4 pins ahead of Mike Durbin, where he could have had, well, maybe 20-some pin lead.
Yes. The last 2 shots Mike's shot on this particular right lane, he's rushed the shot a little bit, never got the knee bend. Let's see what he does this time.
Looks like he got it that time. Dead on the head pin, but he got away with it. A lot of pin action.
See, there's a difference, Dave. He threw the ball bad. He pulled the ball. He went to the Brooklyn side. As we see the ball going to the Brooklyn side, you'll watch how the pins fall, and just really a sloppy carry. And Mike would be the first to admit it. But that's a break for Mike, bad break for Bo.
Results weren't bad, though. Like Red Grain said when he ran 94 yards, and Bob Zupke told him you didn't carry the ball in the right hand, you didn't use your blockers properly, and Grain said, how'd you like it for distance? Well, he got the same hit that time and didn't get by with it. Why is he going to the Brooklyn side?
Well, he's hoping the ball a little bit at the follow-through. He's really not follow-through in a straight line. He's pulling the ball a little bit, and that's the reason the ball is going to the left of the head pin a lot.
Is that tension or pressure?
Bad rhythm. Just bad rhythm. He's over the tension part.
A little concerned about whether that was going to carry, but he did indeed.
Yeah, he was expecting the ball really to tail in on the back end and chop the 6 off the 10, but fortunately it didn't.
Now Nelson Burton trailing by 5. Looks like he got it. Oh, a little thin and left a 7. He was a little bit thin on that.
A little bit thin, but still in the pocket, though, Dave. It could have carried real well. As we see the ball from the back end come into the 1-3 pocket. Good ball. Good ball.
There aren't any tips for breaks, are there?
No, there's not.
Bo Burton is live today, even though he's not in the booth. He has a remote microphone on him, so we may take a listen to it. Let's do that right now. Durbin looking away, not watching Nelson Burton Jr. We're going to listen now and see what, if anything, Bo Burton has to say, okay?
That was really an important shot for Bo to carry that strike, the foundation frame, 9th frame, because now if Mike Durbin doubles, gets the strike in the 9th, the first one in the 10th, it's lights out for Bo Burton.
Trails by 6. Oh, shaking his head there. I think it's curious to watch Mike Durbin look anywhere but at Bo Burton and the lanes. He's looking off into the distance.
He doesn't want to get into that habit of watching his opponent.
And he leaves a 7. Now, there's a little break for Nelson Burton Jr. Very tight match. Been tight from the beginning. I don't think not over 10 pins, according to Larry Laub, has separated the two men since they began.
That's true. And just taking the last 7 frames of Bo Burton, he's hit the pocket every time, where Mike Durbin has hit the pocket 3 times in the last 7 frames.
Oh.
This is Mike Durbin's tough lane coming up, too, the left lane. He's not fond of it at all, this particular game.
Didn't Bo tell us that's where he wanted Mike Durbin to finish?
Exactly. He's been watching Mike and, of course, the rest of the bowlers practice on the pair, and he felt that everybody had trouble with the left lane, so he made him finish there.
We're going to let the pictures tell the story right here.
Situation, Dave. Mike Durbin must make this spare. Whatever count he gets is fine, as we see the ball hitting light and leaving the 2-pin.
For the last 4 frames, he has not gotten to the pocket, and it could have been a little worse. He could have left that hidden one back there.
That's true, the 8-pin, or he could have left the what we call the 210, the very light hit.
Solid pickup. Now, no matter what Mike Durbin does here, even if he strikes, what does Bo Burton have to do?
Well, Mike wants at least 6 pins here. He doesn't want to get 5 pins because Bo Burton could strike and spare in a time with a strike and spare. But Mike wants 6 pins or better. This would force Bo Burton to get the first 2 strikes in the 10th frame.
There's the one he's been looking for. Been looking for that ever since the 7th frame. Mike Durbin finishes with 2-12. Now, Bo has to do what?
Bo has to need first 2 strikes in the 10th frame to win the title. $12,000 first place. Watching this young man bowl over the years in match game style, you know the ball's going to be close to the pocket. All he wants to do is carry. That's what he wants to do. Dave, that's unbelievable. Since the third frame, he's had every ball in the pocket, leaving the weak 10. Just wasn't his day. Bad break for Bo Burton. He's hitting the pocket. Just that 6-pin lays in the gutter and doesn't kick the 10-pin.
So the final score is Mike Durbin 212 and Bo Burton 207. There's your winner. Mike Durbin, the winner of the $95,000 Tucson Open, defeating Nelson Burton Jr. 212 to 207, and will return in just a moment.
People ask me, what spark plug should I put in my Japanese car? I say, for short trips, you need a hot plug. Help stop misfiring. For long trips, a cold plug. It runs smooth at high speeds. Then I tell them there's a marvelous plug for Japanese cars. It works like two plugs in one, hot and cold, because it has this longer power tip. Then I tell them something else. It's not Japanese, it's American. Autolite.
More than 500 Avis cars will leave here this morning, most of them driven by business people without a second to spare. I'm David Mahoney of Avis, and I'm one of those business people. I won't put up with a bungled reservation or a dirty car, neither should you. So at Avis, we make certain that everything we do works, and works at the same fast pace that you keep. At Avis, we call that trying harder, and that's what makes Avis second to none.
This was my old routine. Bright sun, chlorine. Prevent algae, more chlorine. Pool party, lots of chlorine. Then I discovered long-lasting Pace products with stabilized chlorine that takes care of that routine. By releasing chlorine only when it's needed, Pace keeps my water sparkling clear through hot sun, algae, and heavy use. And I spend less time treating my pool and more time enjoying it.
Sparkling water longer from Pace. Chlorine without that old routine.
The quiet principality of Monaco turns upside down when its winding streets welcome the prestigious Grand Prix. Plus, Daredevils dive 10 stories down. ABC's Wide World of Sports is next.
All right, here you see the flight board. And Mike Durbin defeated Aulby, then Ozio, and then Nelson Burton Jr. by the narrowest of margins, 7 pins. Mike, you were not in the groove the way you were in the earlier games, but enough to win.
Well, I was just very fortunate. Bo outbowled me at least 3-1, and he should have won the game, and I was fortunate enough to come out on top.
But you're not going to turn the trophy and the check back. I have a $12,000 check presented by the Golden Greek. Pete Tout is here.
Thank you, Peter. Congratulations. You performed all week. What can I say? You're a true champion. I've known you since the 60s. I'm very pleased for you. On behalf of the Golden Pin Lanes, all their members, all their staff here, all the people from Tucson, congratulations and beautiful bowling. Here's a check for $12,000.
Thank you, Peter. I'll be back next year.
Okay. And here's Nelson Burton Jr.
Well, I can't say much. I know we got that time. Congratulations to Mike. He's a great bowler. He's got the hottest hand on the tour, and he's always been one of my idols, and he proved to me when he won a game like that.
Okay. Heck of a tournament with Mike Durbin the winner by a final score of 212 to 207 over Nelson Burton Jr. Stay tuned. Next, over most of these stations for ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the Grand Prix of Monaco, the World Invitational High Diving Championship from Orlando, Florida, and the Indianapolis 500 preview from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Gary's been one of the most consistent players over the years on our PBA Tour. He's going for his 8th PBA title tonight. He's 13th on the all-time money list. Last night, he needed a mark.